You are welcome to LFN What's Your Say? Clearly your number one listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name, Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. It is very unfortunate that the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday declined to hear R. Kelly's case on appeal from the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, potentially bringing an end to the R&B singer's years-long legal fight against his 2022 federal conviction in Chicago. It remains confusing that the High Court did not give any reason for turning down Kelly's appeal, providing the 7th Circuit with only a single-page order alerting it to the denial. It should be noted that this is a very rare development because it often gives reason for such denials. R. Kelly told the Supreme Court this past July that the basis of his conviction was based on an unconstitutional amendment to federal offense law. It's a claim he also unsuccessfully made to the 7th Circuit, and now deceased U.S. District Judge Harry Leinenweber before that. R. Kelly, through attorney Bonjean, argued that he should never have faced trial because the statute of limitations for prosecuting those allegations expired when the youngest alleged victim turned 25 in 2009. Though R. Kelly faced multiple state-level child charges in 2002, of which he was acquitted in 2008, he wasn't federally indicted in Chicago until 2019. We all know that Congress amended the relevant underage offense statute of limitations in 2003 and 2006 to last for the entire life of the victim, but R. Kelly logically argued that the change couldn't apply to him retroactively without violating his due process rights. Consistent with the well-established presumption against retroactive legislation, the 2003 amendment is inapplicable to the charged conduct as is any subsequent amendments, R. Kelly argued in his petition to the Supreme Court, citing prior relevant cases. It is axiomatic that criminal limitations statutes are to be liberally interpreted in favor of repose. This court has explained that the aversion to retroactive rulemaking is deeply rooted in our jurisprudence and embodies a legal doctrine centuries older than our republic, Bonjean noted. R. Kelly also challenged the sentence Leinenweber, a Ronald Reagan appointee, handed down in February 2023 on the same grounds. Leinenweber sentenced R. Kelly to 20 years in prison for his Chicago conviction, 19 of them to be served concurrently with a 30-year sentence he received for a September 2021 federal trafficking conviction in New York City. Based on his statute of limitations argument, R. Kelly told the Supreme Court this sentence was improper both procedurally and substantively. The Supreme Court apparently surprisingly did not find his arguments convincing, and neither did any of the lower courts. Leinenweber denied R. Kelly's dismissal motion based on the statute of limitations argument 2 months before his Chicago criminal trial began in August 2022. R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean made the claim again before a 7th Circuit panel during oral arguments in February, though the appellate judges hearing the case affirmed Leinenweber's judgment on the issue in April. Now, when the U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear your case, it means the decision from the lower court stands as final. The Supreme Court's refusal to take up the case, known as denying certiorari, is not a judgment on the merits of the case itself but rather an indication that the court has chosen not to review it. At this stage, several potential paths forward exist, although they come with limitations. First, the most immediate outcome is that you will need to comply with the decision of the last court that ruled on your case, whether it was a federal circuit court of appeals or a state Supreme Court. Their ruling unfortunately becomes the final legal word on your case, and no further appeals are available within the U.S. judicial system. However, in very rare cases you may seek reconsideration from the Supreme Court by filing a motion for re-argument or reconsideration. For cases that touch on broader policy or legislative issues, one avenue might be to push for legislative reform. If your case raised significant questions of law or social justice, working with lawmakers to draft and pass new legislation could address the underlying issues in the case. This is a common route when individuals or groups believe the legal system has failed to adequately address an issue, and it may result in new laws that change the legal landscape for future cases. In some instances, there may be other legal avenues to explore. For example, if your case involved multiple claims and only some were addressed, you might be able to pursue unresolved claims in a separate legal action. However, you must be mindful of legal doctrines like res judicata, which prevents relitigating issues that have already been decided by a court. We should also note that public advocacy is often a powerful tool after a Supreme Court denial. If your case revolves around social justice, civil rights or other significant issues, raising public awareness and engaging in advocacy can draw attention to the broader implications of your case. By building momentum through media, public support or collaboration with advocacy organizations, you may influence future legal challenges, public opinion or legislative reform. Ultimately, while the U.S. legal system may close its doors when the Supreme Court declines a case, there are still pathways to pursue change outside the courtroom through legislative efforts, advocacy and in certain cases, international remedies. When we zero down to R. Kelly's cases, we note that concerns about political influence on the U.S. Supreme Court have grown in recent years, though the idea of the government infiltrating the court is not accurate in the traditional sense of infiltration. Instead, the influence is more subtle and institutional, stemming from the processes by which justices are appointed, external pressures from interest groups and the evolving judicial philosophies that align with political ideologies. These factors have contributed to a perception that the court, which is supposed to be an impartial body of justice, is increasingly swayed by political forces. Outside of the nomination process, interest groups and political organizations also exert influence on the court, though not through direct infiltration. These groups, while not part of the government, still wield considerable influence over the selection and confirmation of justices, which raises concerns that the court's independence is compromised by external political agendas. Furthermore, these interest groups often submit amicus curiae briefs presenting arguments to the court in support of particular positions. Although these briefs are a legitimate part of the legal process, they allow powerful interest groups to influence the court's decisions on major legal issues. The culmination of factors like political appointments, the influence of interest groups and ideological judicial philosophies has led to a decline in public confidence in the Supreme Court. Many Americans now view the Supreme Court as a political institution rather than a neutral arbiter of law. Polls show that public trust in the court has diminished. This erosion of trust is a serious concern because the legitimacy of the court depends on its perceived impartiality and independence from political pressures. When the public begins to view the court as an extension of political power, its ability to function as an unbiased interpreter of the law is called into question. Thanks for watching this video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important that you subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.